You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to swap BB-8 out of the podcast 3/4 of the season through, just because. I'm Jason the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm broadcasting live from inside my very own Wookiee Poo studios. We were underwater, but we found an engine, and now this thing flies. I'm not alone. Please allow me to introduce the dark half to this podcast, Darth Mathias himself. Welcome.
Blowfish 2 to Blowfish 1. Can you read me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, man. It was an interesting week of, or whatever, a couple of days of listening to this or watching this show. I'm anxious to hear
I
yours.
haven't hated you more.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, we had to cover this show.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
I feel like no one... There's not even a part of the show that is like, you know what, you're missing out on canon, bro.
There are important pieces of this show that are happening,
tie into
plot lines that we need to cover. I think it's important that we know them. Okay. Well, tell me this. Just tell me this first and foremost.
Yeah.
When you were watching, were you actively watching or passively watching?
I was actively. Well, that's false. That's false. There's a good portion of this second half that I feel like you're going to tell me, and I'm going to hear about it for the first time. Like, my eyes were glazing over. I realized, like, I might have been on my phone and 4 episodes played. Just like, I don't fucking care. Like, let me get to the last 2 because I know those are going to be important.
You're on your latest 7 Days of Geek episode. You were getting into the active and passive watching and listening and stuff, and it was cracking me up. If you would like to find our show, from a certain point askew.com or on Twitter at FACPA Pod, and you can email FACPApod@gmail.com.
And please do so. On the show today, we got a question of the week: video game adaptations, not adaptions. Adaptations. Good. Think Nick Cage, think 2 of them, think third act, really fucked up. News, new movie release dates. Can we trust them? No. Star Wars Resistance, Season 1, Episodes 12 through 21. That's right, we're going to cover the second half of this fucking enriching television series. We've got a Maul Bag, 5 emails. Thank you, listeners. I love you. Unless, like, I haven't scrolled down, so if it's all one listener, I might have some complaints. Okay.
No, you're good.
And then we're going to wrap up the show with a FACPA Answering Machine. And you know what I was thinking about when I was writing some advertisements for the show? We've got some sponsorships. We need some really good copy. When I was doing that, I was like, you know, we haven't done a factoid in a while, so I think we got to bring that back maybe next week.
We should. We've been missing that one for quite a while. Yeah. So question of the week. So this is what I put out there. We just got a beautiful cinematic trailer for Star Wars Outlaws. What video game characters would you most like to see show up in a series or a film? Because I believe you responded at the time on Twitter and mentioned how why wouldn't they just make a series out of this rather than a video game because it looks so amazing.
This sucked me in right away. I'm like, everything about this was like, I mean, sorry, villain Senior. This felt very, very like Solo, like, you know, that era. The scenery, the cantinas, the scoundrel type world, all of that. I mean, we see the Pikes, like a lot of this plays out like that, and I'm like, man, I mean, it is. The scenery is gorgeous. Everything. The one thing that really caught me and I was like, ooh, I really like this, was that slow motion shot of the speeder bike where she fucking, like, you know, what are they in the desert? And she's like one hand shooting and the bike's flying and the stormtroopers flying, whoever's on that. And I'm like, man, this is, I want this as a series. This is, it blew me away. Maybe because I had no idea this was coming.
Yeah. So I had heard all these rumors of different games coming. And I think somebody had mentioned I can't remember who makes this game, but whoever makes this game, that they had said that they were working on one. But when this dropped, it was like, holy shit, out of nowhere, it felt like. And then I sound like Yoda now. Out of nowhere, it felt like. So, obviously these are a bunch of like kind of cutscenes essentially from the game, but it looked incredible. The era is great. It's between Empire and Return of the Jedi, which is kind of an era that hasn't been covered a ton. So that's cool. I did actually, there was a gameplay, 10 minutes of gameplay that dropped.
I watched that. Yeah.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, where she's running around like that mining facility or whatever. And that little kitty cat alien thing is like her partner. It's like Sonic and Tails.
It is, totally. Yeah. Well, and so when that happened, it was like, I was a little worried. I'm like, because, you know, you see these cutscenes and you're like, okay, these are great cutscenes, but this is not gameplay. So what does the gameplay actually look like? It looks incredible. The visuals look amazing. It's an open world game. And so, I mean, I guess to a degree Survivor, I haven't played Survivor yet, but it's a little bit more open world. You can kind of really, you know, gives you kind of room to roam around a lot. But this is like a true open world game, which just watching her go from like one place to another place, it felt very Red Dead Redemption to me, which is, I don't know if you've ever played that game, but the first two I played, it's really fun. It's a great game. It's like you can kind of go and do whatever you want. There's no specific timeline. There's missions and stuff you do, but there's a storyline that overall progresses, but you kind of can have the time to do whatever you want. And that's the great thing about this is you just get to sit in this world and do whatever you want, which is cool. So I can't wait to see how it is when to be able to play it. You get the Nyx dog, like you said, little puppy thing, little whatever you called it.
Yes.
And then you also get like she's got some sort of like droid kind of homie. One of those kind of
who's this guy in the freaking like duster, and he's got the big old gun on him. Yeah. Like he goes from like droid to like full Western slinger. Like it's like what I mean that fucking poster of him like walking is behind her. That's it's like they took the K2SO and they're like, you know what? Let's make him fucking cool.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Not the K2SO.
Yeah. No, cool. I'm really excited for this. Like this almost makes me want to go buy a next gen machine just to play this game.
You got to do it. I mean, so it's coming out in 2024. They weren't specific to when. Some were saying a while ago that it was going to be like spring. But we'll see. I mean, this is a massive game, so it might take... In fact, I think that's the name of the company that does it is Massive.
Massive? Okay.
So it might take... that might push a little bit, maybe to summer or something. But to get that game coming next year, that is so freaking great. And it's one of those where if you find a game you really enjoy like that, like when I played Jedi Fallen Order, which I just redid recently, it's a great game. It's deep. It goes on for quite a while. Then you get done, you're like, okay, it's over.
Okay.
With Survivor, it might be a little bit different. I don't know yet. But the fact that this one you can just kind of waste as much time as you want with is great.
Is this more of like a Grand Theft Auto, like what do they call it? Sandbox? Like you just roam around and kind of do whatever you want, side missions, shit to do, but you don't really have to follow the story all the way through?
I think it's meant to not be completely linear.
Thank you. You condensed my words.
But there's overarching things you do as a character, but it's not... You don't have to go in a specific order. You can actually go take time and do this and that and the other.
Yeah.
And so I think it just allows a lot of room to breathe with this game. And I don't know, it looks fucking amazing. Visuals look amazing. So yeah, but my point being kind of to your tweet, what characters would you want to see come out of any video games we've seen so far, put into a series or a film? So we got some great responses. Max Rebo Experience, who I was just tweeting with because Teespring is so funny. Whenever I send out like giveaways that we do, like a T-shirt or whatever, I'll always try to toss in a couple stickers because they're kind of cool looking. So of course, Teespring, he got the T-shirt like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Just got the stickers today.
How the hell's the stickers? Like you think that would be out right away?
I don't know. It's the way they do it is like these bulk orders. I don't know how it works. I'm no expert, but he just got a day. He's like, "Did I win something again?" It's like, well, no, it's just part of the original.
It's part of it, yeah.
Anyway, he says this guy. Now, you see this image? It's in the dock.
It's like some fella walking down the streets carrying a
bunch of baby chicks.
Yeah, but the one walking on the stem they're almost like chicks and monkeys. Yeah, they're like monkeys with yellow fur and like a chick head.
Yeah. So is this from the trailer? I don't remember seeing this guy. And it says SWM in the bottom. I don't know what that means. So I was trying to figure that out. So Max Rebo Experience, you're going to need to help us out a little bit with that.
We need that is. Yeah, some clarification.
We're going to get ready for this theme. Kendallorian says Marin. Now, Marin was a character who was in Jedi Fallen Order, and I believe she's in Survivor as well. I haven't got to it yet. But she was one who was like, she was one of the Night Sisters that kind of ended up helping the main character in the end.
And there's sort of like, isn't there like, are they shipping the two of them in the Star Wars community?
Correct. And Brian Auer is shipping her with himself.
Oh, yeah. He's give me all your data.
Give me all your data. Oh, to the tune of Give Me All Your Lovin'. I love it. We need to make that song. Mike Laybourne says Grease want a whole series of that guy exploring casinos around the world. Again, Grease, he's the one who like piloted the ship that Cal Kestis is on. Kind
of a grumpy old man.
Yeah, he is kind of a little bit of a grumpy old man. But he warms up. He's, he and Cal form a nice bond. Brian Auer chimes in. Marin, there you go. Since she has taken time to explore the galaxy, it would be great to have the adventures of a wandering Night Sister.
Yeah, you want wandering hands.
The first choice is Mara Jade, of course. Everybody wants Mara Jade.
Everybody does.
And then finally, Chris Meyer. Marin. I'm telling you, Marin's everywhere. She's the most
Wow.
interesting, with a ton of story possibilities and history to cover. Also, I'd love to hear an episode covering Star Wars video games throughout the years. Faves and duds. Cheers, Chris Meyer. He mentioned that to me before. It would be great to do that. We would probably have to have somebody else on to help us with that a little bit, because I've played some of the games, not all of them, and I've definitely played more of the recent games. I mean, unless you want to go back to like the old fucking Atari Empire Strikes Back game.
God.
Play the shit out of that one.
I mean, I know I've played a ton of them, but like I don't remember them. I don't remember story or character. I mean, I remember back when the Nintendo 64 was it Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah,
I remember thinking that game was the greatest, and I don't remember a damn thing about it.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. There's all these games that I never either didn't play or, like you said, just don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll work something out, Chris. Anyway, that was it for Question of the Week. Thanks everybody for sending in your responses, and we kind of turned that into a little bit of a newsy item, because we had to talk, Outlaws, which looks fucking
yeah.
great. Speaking of news, should we talk about movies? Remember those?
I do, and I'm looking forward to them in the years to come.
Yeah. Well, last we heard they were supposed to release movies, I believe, 25, 27, 29. Is that was how it was?
Correct.
Right? And kind of intersplice them with the Avatar movies. So we got an update. Now there will be movies released. No, nothing in 25 now, but they're going to release a movie May 22nd, 2026. That would be presumably the Rey Jedi Order film. December 18th, 2026, probably the Filoni film, I would guess.
See, my guess is the other way around.
Oh, you think it's the other way around?
Yeah, when we were texting about it, only because they released all of the last of the Skywalker saga, the 7, 8, 9 were December films. So I don't know if they'll want to keep that going, and then the May is sort of whatever the summer thing is. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing that that's the way it's going to end up rolling out.
Okay, well, and then December 17th, 2017, either the Taika or the James Mangold project. Taika seems like it's further along.
2017, huh?
Did I say 2017? I wrote it down as 2017. 2027. We're gonna need a fucking time machine. It's already on. It's already streaming.
Right. Yeah. Go watch it. Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's been there for years. No one knew it.
No one knew it. It was hidden. It's like a hidden track on a CD.
You got to watch all of Resistance to get to it.
Oh no. So I wanted your thoughts on this in general, because last time we saw a Star Wars movie released in May, it was on the heels of a mixed response to Last Jedi, and marketed about as well as I market this podcast.
Okay.
And obviously it had some mixed reviews to it, including somebody who you mentioned already on the show who does not like that particular movie, Solo. So are you worried about the fact that, one, they're releasing a movie in May and not the usual December timeframe for this particular one, and that they're doing two within like 6 months, 7 months?
First of all, I will be surprised if this happens.
Yeah.
Because Kennedy gets itchy fingers. She's firing somebody. She hasn't fired anybody in a while. So, someone's fucking going soon. Well, no,
Lindelof was recent.
Walked away. So he didn't really get fired, right? He was just like, So yeah, I don't know. But no, I wouldn't be worried about it. I mean, if they were able, and we've had this discussion a million times, so we don't need to go 9 years, but Villain Senior, you're wrong. It was their fault. It was marketing. It was, like nobody fucking, there's us who follow shit. There was like, oh, Ron Howard had to shoot 60% of the movie. I would venture to guess that most of the world didn't actually know that, right? Mm-hmm. So they just went in and Disney's finding any way to blame this. No, it was your fault. You didn't market it. What was it, February before they even put an advertisement out?
It was the Super Bowl.
May? Yes.
The Super Bowl was the first time, because it came out. I remember when the ad dropped during the Super Bowl, and I had either wasn't following it as closely or whatever, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even know it was coming.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah.
Took me by surprise.
No, I did. I was like, boy, they're really pushing it. And, some of it might have been cocky. Like, we've got a Star Wars film. We'll just blast this thing in 2 months. Who's not going to know about it? Who's not going to go see it? But I think that over time, I think that movie has won over its fans. So, either way, these are two like drastically different Star Wars movies that we're going to see, right? Mm-hmm. Different eras, different things. You got one is the culmination of everything we've seen on Disney Plus so far, and the other is for whether you love them or hate them, the last 3 Star Wars movies have made a lot of money. A lot of people went and saw them, so there's interest there. I think there is. So I'm looking forward to both.
And there won't be the cop-out excuse that people said, well, do we need a Solo movie? Do we really need that movie?
Yeah.
That was a big complaint that people had. And also, it was on the heels of, was it Infinity War or Endgame?
It was.
Infinity War?
Yeah, Infinity War.
Yeah, like just a few weeks after that. So that was another thing they were worried about. Although I believe they said that one of those Avengers movies is coming out early May 26th as well. So they're like, are they going to do this again?
Yes. They pushed them to 26 and 27, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Avatar movies got pushed all the way to 30. The last one I think is 2031.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Avatar
they moved
9.
It, I think it's
2050.
I think it's 20. So it must be 26. It's 26, 29, and 31 are the next 3 Avatar movies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Because her name is escaping me. Gamora.
Oh yeah. Can't remember her name.
She said she started the Avatar movies when she was 27 years old, and she'll be 53 when the last one comes out.
Oh my God, is that true?
That's what she said. Yeah.
Oh boy, Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to get into it, but I saw the first Avatar, and I was like, wow, that's crazy and different, and that was interesting. Didn't think it was the greatest movie ever. Everybody really loved it. And then when the second one came out, I kind of I haven't even had an interest in going to watch it.
I felt that way. I enjoyed it, but then they released Avatar, was it September last year? So I went and saw it, and I was like, well, let me check this out, because I haven't seen this in the theater. Like, I've never seen it, and I remember enjoying it. But you know what? Whatever it was, I don't know if I was in the mood or whatever, but I was like, man, this shit won me over. And then when I went and saw the second one, you fall into that whole world. Like, there's like, you got to be a parent, because the second one is really about like a father trying to keep his children safe from the he's trying to be a leader. He gives that up. He's like, I got to get my fucking kids out of here. They come first. And there's a lot of that. And then there's like, they're taking in the nature and fucking playing with whales and shit. But like, you're watching this whole world that you've never seen before. So the whole time you're just like, I'm just glued to this. I think these movies, I don't know how often I'll watch them, because I know they're on Disney Plus right now. And I think the second one, I think, went to HBO as well. I'll watch them again, but like theatrically, anytime they're re-released or whatever, like, it's an experience. Like, it's just like, my eyeballs are like just open the whole time.
Yeah, it's a good popcorn movie. I haven't had a chance to watch the second one, but we'll see. But one other thing I meant to mention too is that Mangold apparently said that it looks like he's going to start writing it in October, his movie. Yeah. And he was saying how he's excited because it's almost like he's not strapped to all this lore. It's so far back. It's 25,000 years before Phantom Menace. That sure, there's some stuff in there, but he has a little bit more room to wiggle because there's not as much content around. Yeah, but also
like the idea that anything you do has to be responsible for what comes from it.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of daunting as well.
It is.
It would almost be easier. It would almost be easier to go in and write episode 10 than it would be to write the fucking Ben-Hur, the Star Wars world.
Right. 10 Commandments.
That's what he keeps calling it. Yeah.
All right, let's get into Resistance. Is it getting better or worse?
I think I like the first half better.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. So, you spend that first half of the season, you're building up these storylines, establishing these characters. You're starting to kind of build some momentum. Then you have your mid-season break. And you release these little silly shorts that were just kind of dumb. I watched a few of them. They weren't great. Then you come back with Bebo what Bebo is his name? The Bebo episode? That little fucking creature. That
goddamn fucking succulus that he runs around and he thinks he's the most adorable pet in the world. Smells like a goddamn piece of shit.
Yeah. And and it turns out it's just a stinky Kraken baby.
Right. Yeah. And like no one saw this coming. Like right when I'm watching it, I was like, oh, that's the mom. Right when you see something, I was like, and Car's like, well, how do you know? I was like, I've seen enough of this shit before. So like back and forth, and they're running. Oh no, let's shut the bay doors. We got to run. And this thing's attacking. And I was like, look, see, same color on the arm. Oh, look at their eyes. They have the same hourglass, weird shaped pupil. They got this, and yep, it was the fucking mom. And they're like, oh, let me give it back. And I was like, we wasted a whole fucking episode on this.
It seemed like a weird way to start back up, because then you had that. Then you had the whole phase connector story where that guy Taraj Key was trying to steal that phase connector, and he, turns out he's in cahoots with the First Order, and he was trying to get it for them because it's some sort of drilling device. And you're thinking, okay, that could be tied to Starkiller Base. So it's slowly starting to get you back into it. And then by the 14th episode and onward, you're getting back into main storyline stuff, and it starts to pick up a little bit more pace. Because when I watched those first 2 episodes, and you said something to me in DM, I can't remember what it was, but it's something along the lines of, I watched the next 2 episodes. I fucking hate you for making me watch this. But I thought it picked up quite well. And as the season progressed, there was some good stuff in there, especially since we tie all the way basically up to Force Awakens, which I thought was cool.
Right. And I was like, oh, he lied to me, because you were like, this takes place between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and this season leads up to.
No, I thought I said that. I thought I said that it gets to Force Awakens, and then the second season they intertwine with Last Jedi Matt. And Rise of Skywalker. You're listening to what you're hearing, what you want to hear. Okay, I can only talk. I can't make you listen.
I wanted to hear. You could go ahead and watch something else. No, the pirate stuff was all right. Like Solnara, what's her name? Like Sonara. You got the back and forth, and like, does she belong? She's really just a pirate. Is she working for them because, and that whole thing kind of ties back in. And it has a good payoff. There's a few moments, like during the last 2 episodes, there's a lot going on, and I'm kind of like, okay, now I can be invested in this. Like, what's going to happen? But fucking Kaz turns into a goddamn Bugs Bunny again. Like, he's just, he's slipping and falling, and he's running into fucking walls, and someone fucking kill him, and the show will be better instantly. It'll get 10 times better.
Oh man. Well, there was
he's so awful. Paul was like, give me my fucking droid back. And I'm watching that episode, and I'm like, I don't remember there being a conversation. All of a sudden, he's just like, hey, you get this new droid. And they do this slow motion, like, swapsies.
Wings touch. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just, like, fucking fly away. You never see Poe again.
Well, he explains it. Poe explains it and says, I need BB-8 for a mission Leia sent me on to go to Jakku. So that's the mission where he goes and sees what's his name, Lin Santeca, what's his name, whatever his name is, Lor Santeca, Max von Sydow's character. So it's kind of cool that it has a little nod to that. But there was a funny moment. I thought there were a couple funny moments with Kaz. So I guess it would have been like the 3rd episode of the second half, maybe. That's when like the First Order's got beefing up all their presence. And they're everywhere. Yes. And it does a good job of showing the First Order just being absolute shitheads to people.
Well, it's like, hey, you got a pirate problem. They do a whole episode where they basically turn on the pirates after they've hired them, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we're going to give you some stormtroopers just for some protection. And fucking boss man's like, well, that's not necessarily what I need. He's like, well, just take them until we decide whether, you want the First Order or not. And then the next episode, they're just walking around arresting people.
Just like, slowly creeping in. I know. Who are you?
You're supposed to just be there to make sure his daughter is okay. And now you're walking around the platform just fucking, let me see your ID. You're arrested.
It shows you how once you let him in the door, they just fucking get into everything. And Doza is just like screwed. He can't hold him off. But you also you get like these funny moments where that poor guy is trying to buff the floor, and they're like, "Who the fuck are you? We're taking your buffer." He's like,
"It's like a running joke."
I'm doing
the walking
job.
sponge.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that thing was. There's also kind of a couple of funny moments in that episode where there's a point where I'm trying to remember if it's when Kaz is trying to get Sonara off in the escape pod, but they go down this elevator.
No, you left it right there. He was trying to get her off.
There you go. He's going down the elevator with her, and they play. There's literally elevator music playing, and they're doing that awkward elevator thing where they kind of don't talk to each other. Right. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, will they? Won't they?
And then they get out, and then when he gets her into the pod, and he's like,
"No time for sensitive goodbyes."
Right?
She's like sensitive.
She's like sensitive. What are you talking about? And there's just this like attempted like tender moment. So he's like, "So
yes,
hope I see you again." And then bam, just fucking
lid hits him on the head,
smashes him in the head.
He's such a goon.
I thought that was actually kind of funny. It got me a little bit on that one. It's funny. He is and he's goofy when he gets in the suit as the stormtrooper and he's wandering around trying to find data and stuff. That's kind of a goofy episode with him doing that. And you kind of find out why the Colossus is so important. We talked about that last episode because it's basically like the only refueling station that's set, near the unknown regions and all that kind of thing. But then Poe shows up, and this is cool. You talked about this a little bit. They go to examine this nearby sector and discover a bunch of cored out planets and no sun. So does that mean this was like testing ground Starkiller base stuff? Like they were like target practice?
I think so, yeah.
Is that what that's supposed to be?
I mean, they don't ever say anything, but like, we're leading into the Starkiller base. And by the season finale, we see what happens in episode 7.
That's what I assumed they were doing was showing it as like, they didn't just magically make Starkiller base and it worked perfectly the first time. They were doing some, they were messing around. There was some R&D going into it to try to make sure that the thing worked properly. By the way, so silly side note, I just had a note here. When they were on that planet, landed on that planet for a minute, and they were like, oh my God, like they totally wiped this place out. It's totally deserted. And he grabs that doll. I was like, oh, that's going to be that stowaway girl's doll. He's going to show back up onto Colossus, and she's going to be oh my God, that's my doll. But it never happened.
Well, there was a part where he looks up at because it looks like an abandoned beat to shit temple, right? And when they're going up to the doorway and he kind of looks up at the top, isn't the symbol at the top
what he has on his wrist or whatever?
The wristband, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, that's what it was.
But then they never paid it off.
Right, yeah. Well, you want to talk about payoffs, Matt?
Oh, no.
Who the fuck is the spy?
Good question.
We are a whole season in. This is why Kaz is there. They dropped that whole fucking plot line.
Well, it's like...
There's no spy.
There's supposed to be a spy, and then it's then they just put two spies into play. Because then Sonara becomes a spy. He's the spy that's there. There's really no First Order spy.
There's no spy that's already been there that we've learned about yet.
Right. Tam isn't a spy. She's a convert.
I thought that was going to be the twist because I was like, okay, here we are, the last episode. And I was like, well, maybe she's going to reveal, well, I'm already with you. And then it wasn't there. And that's what pissed me off. I'm like, so we've gone 21 episodes and this dude is here for a reason. Poe put him there, right?
Yeah.
And Yager's supposed to be aware of I know I got to help you out because, Poe believes in you and there's someone here and nothing. The whole fucking season. It's like the second we come back to the second half, it's never brought up again.
No, it's not. You're right. It's a good point. It's a fair point.
Baloney. Fuck off.
See, well, he was like you said, I think he was a little more hands off with this series. He created the idea or helped create the idea. He was executive producer, but I don't think he was writing and directing any of these.
I think he had a really good idea, and then he came back a year later when they were doing some of the animation and stuff, and he's like, "Who the fuck said Bugs Bunny was in this cartoon?" And he he took his cowboy hat off, pissed in it, and just whipped it in the writers' room and left.
And they said, "Fine, we're just gonna write whatever we want then." Yeah. You know what? There is no spy. That's the spy. That's the trick.
That's why the show gets canceled. We fucking forgot to pick up on plot threads.
Oops. They didn't have the Bible. They didn't have the Bible for the show. They lost it somewhere.
Oh, boy, they did not. They didn't have anything.
Well, there's a couple other things I wanted to point out. One is, they shut down the aces, right? Commander Pyre's like, no more racing.
Yes.
You will have no fun here.
Yeah, they put the fucking boot on.
I love it.
What's his name?
Hype Phazon.
Hype Phazon, yeah.
Yeah. And then anybody who says a cross word, Aunt Z, Hype Phazon, they're like, you're in the fucking storage container and we're sending you off world. Everybody just starts disappearing. But I like the fact that when Kaz and Tora go to get them out and spring them, and they essentially take over that ship.
Yeah.
She says, Aunt Z says, I'm going to go where? To Takodana to see who? Her friend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maz fucking Kanata. Let's go.
Yeah. But apparently they never make it there.
They don't make it. They come back. They turn around.
Yeah, because they're halfway there and they hear the message. Apparently they got the radio on. They're just waiting to hear what's going on with the Colossus. So she turns around. She's like, we come and save you. I'm like, okay.
Talk about Tam for a minute. So they do this whole thing where they're going to is that the next one where they sink the ship, I think? Yeah, that's where they sink the Colossus, which is a crazy plan. Right. To try to get to the tower so they can get this message out to the Resistance and tell them what the fuck's going on and how they're in jeopardy. Building up till now and really in this episode too, Tam is just really pushing the Law and Order, theme. She really likes the order part of the First Order. She's like, hey, they're doing good stuff. Hey, we've never been safer. She's doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then they bring in this Agent Tierney, which I thought was an interesting character. And she's doesn't play at first. You're she's gonna interrogate her, she's gonna really press her. Instead, she's buttering her up.
Yeah, feeds her a good meal, takes her to the lounge.
Yeah, she gets a fucking Salisbury steak, and she's like, "This is delicious." You know why? Because did you see the food they were eating before that? Did you see the bacon they were eating? It looked like Laffy Taffy.
Yeah, right.
They're eating shit food.
She was given her first class. She's like, "This can be what you can have every time." She's like, "I love the First Order."
How are there not more seafood options here? We're on a fucking ship in the middle of the ocean. We should have some good seafood options. I don't understand it. Yeah, anyway,
I agree.
they do this plan. They concoct this plan. They swim out there. They get the message out. They get a message back. And that's when Yeager gets arrested. Once they get back, because Kaz gets away. I love how he just kicks him into the water. Bye. He gets back and they get this message from Leia. And it's basically appreciate you, fam.
Fuck off, you're on
but
your
we can't
own.
do shit.
There's not a lot of us around, and you guys don't matter right now.
Here's our address, though. if you want to come see
Right.
us, like, here's our
Yes.
address. But like, we can't do shit for you, man. Sorry. Oh man. And then the final 2 episodes, it just all goes off. Like, Pyre arrests Doza. Despite, by the way, D4. I love how he goes D4. Help, or whatever he says, and that droid just starts fucking smoking fools.
Oh, I
out
know.
of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
That was kind of cool. I think he says D4 stop them. That's what he says.
But it gets every stormtrooper except for Pyre. And Pyre's just got the super golden gun.
Yeah, the
and
golden
just
gun. The
blasts
man with the
a
golden
hole
gun.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kaz comes up with this other plan. He's like, okay, we're gonna get our friends out. We're gonna steal this shuttle and we're gonna fly to Hosnian Prime. And I was like, oh, your parents live on Hosnian Prime. Oh no.
Yeah. He's like, next. I love it when was it Nico? He's like, next you're gonna tell me you grew up wealthy. He's like, we'll get into that another time.
Oh, I love the. By the way, you get this ridiculous scene where Torres like goes to her dog or whatever. Hey, Buggles. Go find them. And this thing goes hopping.
You understand
along.
English, don't you? Go find
They all
my
understand
friend.
it.
Yeah, and it turns into fucking Pepe Le Pew, where he's like dun, 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 just bouncing down the fucking.
He's Pepe Le Pew, and then when he finds Kaz, we're doing Lassie. What's that? What's that girl?
Exactly.
Timmy fell down a well.
Yeah. He fucking just follow me dun, 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 over to the grating. He's like, "You want me to lift the grating up?" And he lifts it up, and she's just hiding underneath there.
Hi.
I'm like, why the fuck didn't you just go get him yourself?
Yeah. They get discovered though by that black BB droid. Boy, he's a fucking cunt, isn't he? That thing just walks around like all snooty, pointing out everybody who's doing wrong. Just a little prick. I was so happy to see him go down the elevator shaft. Props to CB23 for that.
He that was a they're getting like a rollerball fist fight.
Yeah,
he just opens up the door and tricks him into it. Drops down the elevator.
He like
shaft.
pokes him in the eye basically, and then he's like, "Come get me!" And ole.
Yeah, and there's even the shot where like you're looking through the evil droid's lens, and it's all cracked and blurry, like you can't see him anymore.
Right.
It's like this is some chopper shit right here.
Was it Last Jedi or I think it was Last Jedi? Doesn't Last Jedi? There's one of those black BB units that BB-8 goes up against. Remember that? Same deal.
Is it Last Jedi or is it Skywalker?
It might be Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember which one. Oh, so then the end of the episode is when we hear the end of the first episode. So the second to last episode of the season is when we hear like, oh, Starkiller Base is operational. And then we see the Huck speech. I thought that was pretty cool that you get to see it from their perspective.
Right.
And it's the same exact speech. I mean, it sounds like the same voice and everything.
It's the hype speech, all the stuff. But like I love how like this Colossus base is down and they're trying to take it over and they all just like take a break to watch the hologram of this speech and they get all hyped up like
it's a big moment. It's a big moment. The fucking Führer is speaking. That's a big moment.
Right.
And then Kaz is just destroyed because he watches Hosnian Prime go down and he's just miserable and very emotional moment. And it was one of those things where it's like we got another situation where we got a guy who's been orphaned in Star Wars. It's like constantly getting orphaned.
You're not important unless you're orphaned.
Right, exactly. So Niku, last episode, comes up with this plan like, hey, we're going to dump all the water because this thing's got a fucking hyperdrive. This is a ship.
Yeah.
So we're going to dump all the water. It's going to actually, in the process of doing it, it's going to flush all these stormtroopers out. So great idea by Niku there. And of course, typical like literal fashion. When I say now, you do it. So now?
Well, you said now. No, not now, but now.
Yeah.
So we spend 5 minutes of him and
who's on
Toro,
first?
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're running down hallways, closing the doors right at the right time. Stormtroopers are getting sucked out, and by the end of it, they've eliminated all of the stormtroopers out of the base. But at the same time, a Star Destroyer shows up with some TIE fighters, and now they've got the ship coming up, but they're going to get their asses handed to them.
When that Star Destroyer showed up, I literally said out loud, oh, shit. But before that, Pyre and Tierney decide, like, we're going to vacate the Colossus. And like we got to get the fuck out of here. Screw this place because it's going down. There's no reason for us to be on this thing. And that's when Kaz and crew kind of track them down. I like the fact that you get the moment of like, put your weapons down. He's like, why don't you put your weapons down?
Yeah.
Then that's when Niku fires up the engines and the whole thing starts like taking off and it rattles everything. Mm-hmm. But in that scene, Tam gets the choice. You stay with us or you go with them.
Right.
And she fucking goes with them. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Like, is she gonna, we'll get into that in the questions because I'm wondering like, how far that they're gonna take that plot line. We get this sweet aerial battle scene, I thought, because the aces are freed and joined by Kaz and Yeager, and Aunt Z comes back, as we talked about with Hype Phase.
And then the pirates come in and help save the day.
In a literal pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
They battle a bunch of ties. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. And then Kaz makes a pretty sweet move cutting through the Colossus to wipe out the Red Baron. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, the Red Baron goes down. And that's the one that, like, you just couldn't take him out. So, yeah, everyone but Pyre, I guess. He escapes to the main ship, but they're all fucking dead. And then the ship is ready to engage, like, warp drive, Mr. Sulu.
Yes, right, exactly.
That
so then it
Grant.
gets out, barely. And then Nico's like, so I didn't get all the coordinates in there. Because they were going to go to Dakar, which is the address that Leia gave them. So, and that's where the base is at the beginning of Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to end up somewhere else, and we don't know.
By the way, I didn't get all the numbers punched in. So we're either going to end up there or across the galaxy.
Right.
And up to now, Nico's had no sense of humor. But now he's like...
He's a little drunk.
Jokes.
He's a little drunk from this whole episode.
Drunk with power. He got the ship running.
Yeah, well, he did a big thing. He was a major player in them getting out of there, else they would have been screwed.
It was a cool shot at the end where, like, everyone, it was a Star Wars moment. Like, every character ended up in the one spot, and they're looking out at space, at the hyperspace, and they're all silhouetted by the light. That was kind of cool.
That was cool. Kind of had like the back of Leia and Luke shot from Empire or something like that.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
That. So where do they go? Where do they end up? Are they going to end up in some random spot? Are they going to end up, because they're not going to end up on Dakar. There's no way.
I think they're going to end up like right, like about 20 feet outside of the explosion radius of Hosnian Prime.
Oh, and he sees like the body parts of his family going by.
He's got to relive it all. It's like the opening of Infinity War, where like everyone from fucking Thor's world, or not Thor, but it was the Guardians of the Galaxy. What planet was that? Where they're all fucking everyone's dead. They go into the ship.
That would be brutal.
Vader's got Kaz in a fucking headlock. That's how we're going to open up season 2. I'm aware Vader's dead. Let me just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Yes, Vader's dead. I had to think about the timeline. Do you think Tam's going to go full for First Order? Like full-on pilot in the First Order?
I don't know, because the thing is they've really never given that character much, except for to bitch about the fact that, she wants to build a ship and she's there for like the racing, and they keep using the Fireball or whatever the hell it's called. That's his ship to escape to or whatever. So she really hasn't had much purpose other than she's the maintenance person where Kaz is pretending because he's a spy, know? So maybe to give that character some kind of, but what does it mean? Like, it really doesn't add anything because she really hasn't met much.
The whole backstory we know on her is that she was coming up with hype, wanted to be a pilot.
Yes.
And something happened that caused her to not do that. And she's been wanting to do it ever since. But you've never seen her fly. I'm just wondering, is she going to go full, like, whole hog First Order? Because obviously she was torn there between her friends, but she's also pissed. I mean, Agent Tierney did a great job of planting these seeds of doubt in her head about how, like, they've been fucking with you this whole time, and you owe them nothing. So she did a good job of manipulating.
It is kind of like, it's shitty. Like, they are her friends, and that's why she's hurt. But then she follows this person, not knowing her well enough to know whether she's really lying. When Yeager was like, "Don't believe, that's her job. She's trying to fool you." Mm-hmm. And she takes her hand and like, "Let me go eat some fucking more Salisbury steak."
Right.
Fuck you, fools.
Yeah. I'm going to eat better. I'm not going to have to do these shitty jobs. I'm not going to have to listen to Kaz. She's just trying to get away from Kaz. So you can respect that.
I don't blame her. Yeah, I do. I can. I really can.
I asked about Torah and Kaz last time if they'd end up in the sack, but I think they're clearly just buddies. But is he going to get some of that purple ass, Kaz? Is he going to fuck Sonara?
Get a little of that pirate purple nurple?
Yeah, I think it might happen.
Yeah. I you know what? Like, I see a love triangle happen in the second season.
With Torah as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going to
Torah and Sonara get along pretty
affection.
well. Something might happen there. I like that.
That's yeah. Like, they just like, Kaz, get out of here.
Kaz gets cut out.
Yeah. Now, see, this is the second season I can get behind.
For a kid's show, I'm sure they do it.
Yeah. Well, I heard it got a little older in the second season. So how old does it get?
Kaz shows up and they're in the sack together, and he's like,
Right.
"What the hell?" And they're like, "Don't worry about it." And he's like, "Why does Buggles get to be in here? The dog."
Yeah, I hope the episode opens up with them in bed and he walks in and he's like, "Well, what's going on here?" And they kill him.
Oh, both of them.
And then
Boom, boom.
Buggles like drags him to this little dog cage or whatever and buries him. It's like the whole second season they're trying to figure out where Kaz went. And we knew from the opening he was murdered.
I like the idea, like you said earlier, about how Filoni was just like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" So they took that and ran with it. They're like, "He ain't even paying attention, guys. Let's go real dark."
Yeah. Boss left the room. Like it's by the end of the show, it's not even Star Wars.
It turns into like it was
it
was a dream all along. It was somebody's dream. It wasn't even actually
It's
Star
Hill
Wars.
Street Blues. It ends in the snow globe, right? Is that Hill Street Blues?
Is that? Oh yeah. I was gonna do the Bob Newhart ending. Oh fuck. The last thing I was gonna ask is just season 2 is supposed to, like I mentioned, loop kind of in and around Last Jedi and lead up to Rise of Skywalker. So do you think we're gonna get any other big characters in season 2? Like I would assume we're gonna get Kylo, Rey, probably not.
Yeah, I think I think if I recall, I think there was some Kylo. I don't think he does the voice though. I don't think if we see anybody, I don't think they're the voice. Much like Leia wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I think it'd be somebody else, but I'm just interested. I'm trying to figure out if there's other people that would show up that are from that saga that we have not seen yet.
So does that mean that the second season will end on Crate?
Well, I think it goes through Jedi and leads to Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, it could be like that. It could be somewhere in that same. Well, but I mean, would it end on Crate because these people aren't there? These people aren't part of that crew. Unless we missed him. All along, Kaz was sitting there all along in the background when Luke walks in and hands Leia the dice. Kaz is back there going, "Oops, sorry, guys." Boom.
The second half of the next season, Benicio del Toro's character is like a huge character and everything makes sense.
That would be awesome.
Canto Bite is like, it's all, oh my God.
It all mattered.
What we needed. Yeah.
It all totally mattered. Took a while to pay off. Ryan Johnson sitting back at home just with his hands behind his head like, "Told you
So
guys."
I mean technically, so we know Lando has shown up in the other ones, and if this leads into The Last Skywalker, maybe we could see him.
That would be cool, Lando.
Yeah, so but I don't know how far this goes, and I don't know if this show was canceled or if they end like on a cliffhanger. Do they end in a spot where like, oh, this was, we told a full story? I don't know, so it'll be surprising to get through.
Yeah,
it.
I'm wondering how they're going to handle that because when I looked at the Wikipedia page, I purposely don't look forward to what future episodes have because I wanted to kind of go along with it as if we've never seen it because we haven't. But I never saw anything about cancellation. I don't know if they just didn't pick it up for a third season, just decided we feel like it's run its course. It'll be, I don't know. We'll have to see how they wrap season 2. And I think we'll know by the end of season 2, like, was this meant to be the end or was there supposed to be more?
Now, here's a really important question.
Okay.
Does Kaz show up in episode 10?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does he?
For sure.
Okay.
Well, what isn't episode 10 supposed to be, what is it again? 15 years later?
15 years later? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he could. Oh, boy. You're going to boycott. Okay, that's it for that. So just as a programming note to our listeners, we will take a little break and do a couple episodes the next couple weeks that are different, and then we'll come back and wrap up season 2. If Jay's up for it, we'll come back and wrap up season 2.
You know what? I'm hoping that we go down single episodes. Every week we come back, we cover a whole episode.
No,
I think that's what the listener wants.
You would not survive. Could you imagine covering that Bebo episode?
No.
I
don't know if you would survive.
That would be fucking brutal.
Next 2 episodes or so from now, like you get on microphone, you're like, well, I met Jay. And he's now in jail. He showed up at my doorstep with my printer in hand and beat me with it.
Yeah, maybe it was you fucking with me.
That's what's coming through right now. I'm taunting you. I'm coming for you.
I quit the show. Print.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the Maul Bag. We got 5
right.
emails. Email number 1 is from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, and they said, it's probably Ro, it said, Star Wars on the big screen has been pretty non-existent the last couple of years, and all of a sudden they announced 2 movies in 1 year. Will they be able to pull it off? We kind of covered this earlier. You don't think so. You think it's going to only be one that shows up in 26 because you think it's one that's going to get pushed, right?
Well, I mean, this is what's happened already is one got pushed and now they're just going to cram them both into 1 year. I'm fine with it. I hope it happens. But, I mean, history says differently. So
it does.
We'll see.
It was shocking to hear them say they're going to do 2 in a year.
Yeah.
So for that to actually pay off seems unlikely, especially since it's 3 years out. I mean, so many things could happen.
Right. Like I would even see like them moving from May and then moving the December one to another May, the year after.
Right. Sure.
So that way, one, they have box office receipts coming in 2 separate years.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Disney can do that. So it'll be interesting. I know like they don't want to release because of the Avatar, Star Wars, they're bouncing back and forth. But for starters, you can't count on Cameron. He's like, I'm going to release a movie, and he says that for 5 or 7 years until he's finished with it, and he'll give it up to go out in theaters. So, I mean, I don't even know what to bet.
Or maybe what they want to do is they just want to say, let's separate the years so for the Academy. We don't want to pit ourselves against ourselves for the Academy.
Yeah, that's right. Best Picture 2 years in a row.
Email number 2, Ithorian Historian. When was the last time you had Apple Jacks? Because I said, ask us any question or whatever.
Okay, fair enough.
And then he followed up with, I love that sweet jacked milk after the crunch is gone.
God damn, man, I want some Apple Jacks now. I'm not going to lie. I can taste it. I can taste the Apple Jack. I haven't had Apple Jacks in, I bet it's been 10 years.
I mean, I probably tried them as a kid. I've never been a cereal guy, so I was never a big cereal guy at all.
Oh, I will. I'm going to eat a bowl of Apple Jacks in the next episode.
Fucking do it. Don't do it on Mike.
I'm going to make you and Ithorian happy.
Oh, my God. Eating milky cereal on Mike.
It.
So terrible.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Email number 3, Brian Hour. Of course, the biggest news is Star Wars Outlaws. Question number 1. He's got 3 questions. What do you want from your perfect Star Wars game? Myself, I want something in the vein of Wing Commander's Privateer, an open-world flight sim where you can be a bounty hunter against pirates, take on Rebel Empire missions, haul cargo between worlds, haul contraband for he says hunt, I think he means huts.
Yeah.
Each mission type could raise or lower rep with other factions, buy different type of ships and modify them. You could have a story, or it could be open-ended where you just make your way in the galaxy. So now I'm not familiar with Wing Commander's Privateer. Some of that stuff sounds like what we're going to get with Outlaws to a degree. The main character doesn't necessarily seem tied to any one group. What's her name? Kay.
Well, wasn't Wing Commander? Wing Commander wasn't Mark Hamill the star of those games, right?
I did not play those games. This is why our episode would be shit if we did the Star Wars video games.
Right. Yeah, they were or do you want Wing Commander, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard?
Oh, there you go.
$1 million budget summer blockbuster movie it was Saffron Burrows was the other one in it.
Oh, God.
I think it was.
I think you're right. Well, we know that.
Man.
Yeah. Well, and it's salty Freddie Prinze Jr. now.
Yeah.
I get what he wants, and I get the freedom of doing whatever you want. That makes total sense. I'll be interested to see how Outlaws goes because I think it's going to get you close. I just don't think it's going to be the full show that he wants.
Yeah, I'm wondering how the engine works for it because usually if you've got run and gun type stuff, which we've seen a lot of, and we even saw the gameplay. But then a lot of the cutscenes, they're showing that fight scene in between the Empire and everything. So are you going to be able to fly the ship? What's that going to look like? Is that going to, because you kind of want to do both.
Yeah, they certainly seem to be operating in and around all the action, not necessarily directly involved in it. I don't know. We shall see. Question 2, have you ever had any Star Wars-based cereal like C-3POs? What's with the cereal questions this week? Are they in cahoots?
I know. Yeah, I think so. Also, yes, I've had them. I had C-3POs the first time they came out.
Oh, really? When was that?
Yeah,
Jedi?
So it would have been Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I remember being I was 6? I remember being at the store with my mom you're getting me the cereal.
Yeah.
And all it was
You're getting me the cereal. Did you do this?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. I don't know if I even knew to do that.
You will buy me the cereal.
Was it what's the corn, not Corn Pops, but it was like a Lucky Charm, or I can't remember. It was a basic cereal. It was whatever and
Kicks.
some fucking marshmallows. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kicks. I think that's what I was thinking. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, I'm sure I had them then, the C3POs. But again, not a big cereal guy. I really don't like to mix my fandom with my foods. So just kidding. Were they just Cheerios, the C3POs, right? They were kind of just Cheerios.
I mean, maybe they were that. Like, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Did they even do like a cereal tie-in for the new trilogy?
Oh, good question. They should have done like a Wheaties box. Like a Ray Wheaties box.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't remember. Question 3. Why did Matthias bring the smoke to the East Coast during his vacation? Very suspicious. Okay. Brian.
I think it was Matthias. I think that's you.
No, he's talking about me. Oh, Matthias. That's how you pronounce that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Matthias. Anyway, he's blaming me. So here's the thing. Couple things. One,
So he's blaming you for the Canadian fires?
yes, because here's why. Because what was that? 6 years ago? 5 years ago? God, maybe it was less. I went down to see Neil and Annalise in the Bay Area, and the day I left, he had to take me a circuitous route to the airport because the whole fucking place was on fire.
Okay.
So I was blamed. As if I
course.
did it. I set fire to the place and fucking walked out of there. So he's trying to blame me. He's trying to pin the blame on me because I was on the East Coast and then the fires happened. And clearly it is Canada's fault. It is not mine, Brian.
Right. And also, like, it would be the east side. It was east side of Canada that was on fire going down to New York, right?
I never went. I was never in the east side of Canada. I was never on aisle 3, Herb.
I was gonna say. Oh, Mr. Mom there.
Thank you, Brian. Email
I was
number
never in the east side of Canada.
Email number 4 from PloCool811 says, will Coruscant be in Star Wars Outlaws? I would assume so. Don't you think?
I think it'll be mentioned, but we're Outer Rim, I think, action going on here, right? So
Yeah,
I don't think so.
They showed Kijimi in one of the things. They showed, there's some desert planet action. Yeah, you might be right. Maybe they don't get to the central area.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're probably right. They probably just mention it. Coruscant's a big motherfucker too. Like that's going to take a while to plot that one out. It would be cool though. Somebody needs to do that.
Well, isn't Coruscant in the Survivor?
Oh, you're right. I think it is.
Okay.
So there you go. God, I got to start playing that game. Email number 5 from Josh Tuff. Star Wars was a good story that then became a springboard to sell toys. As an adult, do the members of FACPA Pod find themselves more or less inclined to want Star Wars merch and toys than they did as children? Follow-up question, are your children just an excuse to buy Star Wars toys?
I can't get my son into Star Wars, but like when I redo my studio, I don't want the toys, but I want like what's the name? What are the ones that do the statues? Like the show reels or show, I forget the name of the company.
It's like them in action.
Like I would like a couple of those, like the really kick-ass ones.
Okay. Well, now when you say you can't get your son into Star Wars, does that mean is this like a Clockwork Orange scene? Like you've got his eyes like pried open and you're making him watch movies and shit?
He will come in the room and sit down. Like even this, he was like, he questions, I think, my manhood. He's like,
what's wrong with you, Dad?
You're watching this again? Like, even I don't want to watch this.
Well, that's the thing.
He can't be. He'll watch The Mandalorian. He's watched that. He's watched
Kenobi.
I think a little bit of the Book of Boba Fett, and he really didn't care for the prequels, even though the original trilogy was slower. He was in for those more. He likes the newer movies. He said theater, but yeah, it's not like out of all the things I've introduced him to, and he'll sit down and watch, or he'll want me to watch. He'll never will he recommend a Star Wars thing. So I don't know.
Fine. Whatever.
Yeah. I guess I'm not leaving this empire to him.
Yeah. When it comes to the toys, when my kids were young, and I totally flooded them with Star Wars stuff, made them watch the original trilogy when they were far too young and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, there's some fucking sweet toys out there. Like, and I was so mad that my dad didn't keep all those toys that I was like, we're going to a whole new shipment coming in. So we bought a bunch of shit and ton of figures.
And then you're yelling at him, why are you playing with that? That cost $65.
That's not how the X-Wing fly. What are you doing? That's not how it works. Have you ever seen that SNL skit when there's collectors and they're talking about all the Star Wars figures and the kids are like, oh, let me play with them. He's like, no, we don't take it out of the box.
Yeah. Yes.
It's amazing. I bought stuff then, so I have that stuff. I'll keep that stuff, but it's not like I'm
still in the box.
It's not in the box. It's out. That shit was played with.
Right.
In fact, all the guns are everywhere. It's a fucking hot mess. But I'm just saying, it was cool to go back and start getting some of that stuff. So we went back and got some of the older stuff, and then some of the more recent stuff as well. So it's we got a lot of shit there. I have like fucking 5 Canans. You know, like I got so many.
Wow.
I have so many figures.
So you got the Rebels line. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of Rebels. Okay, that was it for Maul Bag. Thank you to everybody for sending in some messages. Next, we've got the FACPA Answering Machine, and you know it's RFB. You ready for this?
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready to hit pause and discuss.
Yes. Okay, stop is in action. Ready, go.
Hey, and Darth Matthias. RFB. Just finished this week's.
Yep, already.
I didn't hear him say me.
He did say Jay. It kind of cut out. He said Jay and Darth Matthias. Yeah, it kind of cut out. Sorry.
Episode of Ewan's going over the first 11 episodes of Resistance.
Oh, yeah.
But let me get one thing up front first when Ewan's was talking news and such and whatnot and mentioning about Ahsoka and wondering exactly where in timeline it is. I can tell you.
Not our specialty. So we'll take all the advice we can get. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be for we know is season 1. Ain't heard nothing about, hearing little whispers maybe about season 2, but not much solid just yet. It's going to be split. The first 4 are going to take place around where season 2 of The Mandalorian is. And then the last 4 are going to take place sometime in or around Mando season 3.
Okay, that's interesting. So they're bridging the gap between the Mandalorian seasons because she did not show up in Mandalorian season 3, but she was in season 2 with Luke and all that shit.
Right.
So that's going to be the gap.
So basically, he's saying that the Ahsoka series is going to cover the timeline between the 3 seasons.
Yeah,
so
running
by the time
parallel.
the first episode ends, by the time the first episode or the last episode ends of Ahsoka, we will be at the 3rd season of Mandalorian. We'll be all caught up timeline.
All caught up, and then if they have a second season that is in tune with Mandalorian season 4, and then all this leads to that movie.
Yes.
I would assume.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So that's where that's going to set.
Thank you.
Thoughts on Resistance? I saw Jay's post asking about, and I should have responded back to it. That's a bad on me. Thoughts about not just the story, but the look of the animation. I fucking love Resistance. It's cell shading is what that animation style is called. Every Star Wars animation from the holiday special back in 78 to Forces of Destiny, those little shorts that's on Star Wars Kids YouTube called Blips. Every Star Wars animation has its own look. Yes, and I absolutely... Was the story goofy? Yeah. I went into it like I go into every next new Star Wars, whatever it is.
Tell me a story.
Tell me a story. Doesn't matter who it's intended for, just tell me a story.
He loves to say that.
Yeah, I've been going back on early Saturday mornings when I'm up and jumping into I've done a few different rewatches of Resistance.
Wow.
I like it just for what it is.
Few?
It's fun.
He's done a few. This guy is not giving up with just the one.
You brought up Clockwork Orange earlier. You couldn't strap me to a chair and fucking put my eyeballs open and turn this back on at episode 1. I would eat through my tongue. I'd find a way to damage my eyeballs to fucking close them.
So you're looking forward to season 2, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can take some goofiness. Hell, I grew up on Looney Tunes, so.
There you go.
Yeah, so whenever Matty Boy was talking about an anvil pop, and then, I'd be laughing my ass off at that one. But, looking forward to since it's new to Yins, so it's going to be fun listening to you two taking these, where it goes up in through season 2.
He says yin so much, it almost trips him up. I love the fact that he's like, I'm looking forward to hearing you guys watching for the first time. Like, boy, how does he feel now after your recent review?
Yeah, I wonder how he, yeah.
He's just going to turn us up, delete, unfollow.
He's going to have to maybe become an addict of some severe drugs to get through the second season. Cause I know I'm going to have to.
Well, it'll be fun. It will be fun.
And, I guess, I already said this, but I guess to go over it again for those who maybe didn't hear the last one, it's the fact that I'm 45 years old going in. Right. There's something that I expect out of Star Wars, and Looney Tunes was not it. I get it for an audience you're trying to attract and bring in. It works. It does. But for me, I'm just like, no, I don't want this fucking goon slipping and falling and running and he just can't get a hold of himself, but he's supposed to be and I know he's not the reluctant spy, but he was kind of put into it, right? It's the world he found himself into, but he is just a fucking goon.
Yeah, he's almost like a human version of Jar Jar or something. A lot of slapsticky, comic relief stuff. And that's fine. But like you said, you're a 45-year-old man watching a show made for 8 to 10-year-olds. This is why we did not do Young Jedi Chronicles or whatever, because I knew it would not go well.
Yeah, we don't need to cover that.
No, not covering that.
In fact, we will not. I might put my foot down.
No, we're not doing that. All right, let's finish up his message.
And I'm hopeful, like some other folks and friends, it's maybe ain't likely to happen, but it could stand with a season 3.
Ooh.
Maybe one day. But looking forward to FACPA in my playlist. Things are getting thin right now, boys.
You're getting
not
another
a lot
one.
of pods.
What?
I said you're getting another one. Oh, so he's saying there's not a lot of pods dropping. I did see him tweet the other day.
Yeah.
I think he said he had 8 episodes the whole week, or it was something. I was like, how was that? I had to have misread it, because doesn't he listen to 100 fucking Star Wars podcasts?
He's going to tell you right now.
Okay. All right.
Dropping. And I got a library that's over 150. And it's a stretch. Got to kick it down to 1 times just to make it last.
So now we all sound drunk.
Yeah.
Whenever you listen to 1 time after you've listened to 1.5, everybody sounds drunk. Yeah, so why are they talking so slowly?
So we're putting out regular content. So right now we should be building an audience. People should be like, hey, Yoons, people, come over and listen to us, because we're putting out. Can't promise it's excellent, but we've got something to say.
Fresh stuff. I mean, granted, we're covering old series, but fresh stuff.
Yeah.
And new takes on old series.
Exactly. Yeah. So. If anything, you're getting a new take.
Look forward to FACPA, boys. Till then, love you. May the force be with you.
Thank you, RFB.
Love you too, and may the force be with you.
I always love getting his voicemails. Always good.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all we got this week.
Oh, man, I can't wait to go into the second season. I'm probably going to, right when we cut this off, I'm going to run right to the Disney Plus.
You are going to fire it up 4 hours before we record and see if you can get through them all that fast.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those where you remind me the week we're doing, hey, remember, we're doing Resistance Season 2.
Yeah, well, I'm
going to get cancer. What?
Silver lining for you. Yeah, only 19 episodes in season 2.
Oh, all right.
So
all right.
2 less episodes for you. Maybe
have we decided where the cutoff is for what's the mid season on this season?
I have to look into it. I haven't done it yet.
Okay,
we're not there yet. Because folks, like I mentioned, we're gonna have a guest on next week. After that, we're probably gonna get into the making of season 3 of Mando, because that's coming out soon. So we'll do a couple other episodes of that kind of stuff, and then we'll come back to season 2 of Resistance in July.
Yep. Tune in July when I'm in chemo watching Resistance.
Whoa.
Thanks for listening. Until next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We have spoken.